My mom replaced me with her new family. Years later, I gave them a shocking reality check. It all started when my mom picked her new family over me. She cut me out of her will and pretty much pushed me out of her life in favor of my stepbrother. But now, years later, they are the ones crawling back, and I just dropped a truth on them that flipped their world upside down. My name is Ethan, and this is my story. I was 14 when my mom, Lisa, married Steve. Before that, it had just been the two of us. Ever since my dad died of a sudden heart attack when I was 7, it was me and her trying to make things work. I did not really understand what was happening when he passed, just that one day he was there, and the next, he was not. My mom worked herself to the bone to keep us going. She had a job as a receptionist at a dentist's office and still somehow made it home in time to help me with my schoolwork or make dinner. We did not have a lot of money, but we got by. For a while, it actually felt like we were a real team. Then Steve showed up. He was just some guy she met through someone at work. He did construction jobs here and there and liked to brag about projects he never finished. But my mom was head over heels. "He is dependable," she would say. "He makes me laugh again." After everything she had been through, I think she just wanted someone to take care of her for once. I get that now. But back then, all I saw was a stranger moving into our house and trying to take over. And then came Tyler, Steve's 17-year-old son. The moment he stepped through the door, I knew we had a problem. The guy acted like he owned the place. He had a chip on his shoulder, bad habits a mile long, and not an ounce of respect for the home that had been mine long before he showed up. At first, I tried to stay positive. I told myself it would just take time for us all to get used to each other. But it did not take long to figure out that was never going to happen. Tyler was trouble from day one. He strutted around with that smug grin, like he was doing everyone a favor just by being there. He left his nasty sneakers in the middle of the floor, filled the sink with dirty dishes, and left trash everywhere. And the worst part? Steve acted like Tyler was some kind of saint. If anything went wrong, if something broke or disappeared, I was the one who got blamed. One time, Tyler took my headphones without asking and stuffed them in his gym bag. They ended up crushed. I told Steve, and all he said was, "Well, maybe you should not leave your stuff lying around." I was furious. I could feel my face burning, but I kept my mouth shut. That night, I packed all my important stuff into my backpack and carried it with me everywhere. If no one was going to protect my things, I would protect them myself. It was not just about the headphones. It was about the principle. How could someone ruin my stuff and act like it was no big deal? My mom stood in the kitchen the whole time and said nothing. I kept hoping she would speak up for me, say anything, but she just stared like she always did. That became the pattern. Tyler would throw wild parties while my mom and Steve were out, and I would get yelled at the next day for not cleaning up after his friends. One time, I left the mess exactly as it was. Sticky floors, plastic cups, everything. When they came home, I was calmly eating a bowl of cereal. Steve gave me a nasty look and said something about being responsible, but I didn't budge. Let them deal with it for once. Then came the big announcement. My mom and Steve were having a baby. They had only been married a few months when they told me, and Steve looked like he had just won an award. My mom clung to him like this was the happiest moment of her life. Meanwhile, I sat at the dinner table, picking at my food and trying not to choke on the lump in my throat. It felt like another sign that I did not belong. Once the baby, Ethan, they named him, was born, everything changed again. The house became all about the baby. My mom and Steve were constantly baby-proofing every corner while the rest of us had to adjust. At first, it was little things. A crib showing up in the living room, stacks of diapers in the hallway, baby gear taking over the kitchen. Then one night, after dinner, Steve dropped a bomb. "We are going to have to rearrange some things for the nursery," he said, looking right at me. "It just makes sense to use the bigger room." That was my room. I knew exactly what he meant. That weekend, Steve and my mom came in with boxes and trash bags like they were kicking me out. "We will just move your stuff into the guest room," they said. Just like that. It was like watching strangers evict me from my own life. Steve kept throwing out lines about family sacrifices, but let us be real. He was not the one giving up anything. They shoved all my things into boxes and moved me into the cold, bare guest room like it was no big deal. No desk, no shelves, and the heater barely worked. I was lucky they did not stick me in the garage. When I tried to unpack my study supplies, Steve told me not to clutter the space too much because it needed to stay neat. So now we had Tyler, the golden child who could do no wrong. We had Ethan, the baby everyone adored. And me, I was just the extra piece they had to tolerate. I tried once to talk to my mom about how I felt. She got defensive fast. "This is your family now," she said. "You need to make it work." But it never worked. Steve treated me like I was just in the way. Tyler did whatever he wanted, and my mom was too busy keeping Steve happy to notice how miserable I was. By the time I was 15, I knew no one was going to have my back in that house. So I stopped trying to fit in. I focused on making it through each day. I was not rebellious or anything. I did not sneak out or break rules. I just faded into the background as much as I could. School became my safe space. I joined every club I could just to avoid going home. I stayed late working on projects or hanging out in the library. One afternoon, after a club meeting, Mr. and Jacobs, our advisor, pulled me aside. "You have got potential, Ethan," he said, tapping a stack of papers on his desk. "But do not let your situation hold you back. Think bigger." I never told him what was going on at home, but I think he knew something was off. What he said stuck with me. I started dreaming about a life beyond that house, one where I could finally breathe. I even started crashing at my friend Jim's place. His parents were cool about it. They could tell something was not right at home, but they never asked questions. Home was not just uncomfortable, it was suffocating. Tyler made sure of it. He would blast his music so loud the walls shook, have his buddies over all night, and hog the bathroom every morning so I was always late. Steve did not care. He would just say, "Tyler's a teenager." Like that explained everything. There was one night that really got to me. I came home around 8:30 after a long day at school and work. I had picked up a part-time job at a coffee shop to save up. Save up for what? I was not sure yet. Just something. I needed an escape plan. Anyway, I got home and saw a note on the counter. "Went to dinner, back late, leftover spaghetti in the fridge." That was it. My mom, Steve, Tyler, and Ethan had all gone out for dinner together and did not even think to invite me. I was not surprised, but it still hurt. It just confirmed what I had known for a while. I was not really part of that family. That was when I stopped trying completely. I lost it for real the night Tyler threw another one of his insane parties while Steve and my mom were out of town. I had been looking forward to a peaceful weekend. Instead, our house turned into a circus. Strangers everywhere, even in my room. I told them to leave, but one guy just laughed and said, "Chill, dude, it's just a party." The next morning, my room was a disaster. Soda all over my desk. Backpack ripped, headphones gone. I was furious. When Tyler finally stumbled downstairs, I confronted him. "You were cleaning this up," I said, my voice shaking. He just laughed and said, "You should not have left your stuff lying around," then walked right past me. For a split second, I wanted to grab him and shake him. But then I heard Steve's voice boom from the kitchen, asking what all the noise was. I knew how it would end. So I just walked away and made myself a promise. Next time, I would not back down. And that is when it hit me. I could not live like this anymore. I could not keep waiting for them to change, because they never would. So I started saving every single penny from my part-time job. I did not have a plan yet, But I knew one thing. I needed to get out. When I turned 16, I almost ran away. I packed a bag with clothes and all the cash I had saved. I made it as far as the bus station. I sat there for hours watching buses come and go before I finally dragged myself back home. No one had even noticed I was gone. That was when I realized I needed a real plan. By the time I hit 18, I had spent years mentally preparing to leave. Every hour I worked, every dollar I saved, it was all about one goal: getting out of that house and never looking back. I never told anyone what I was planning. Not my mom, not my friends. It felt safer to keep it to myself. Like if I said it out loud, it might not happen. I was not just planning to leave. I had to. Every time Steve barked an order or Tyler trashed something and got away with it, it was another tick on the countdown. Every shift at the coffee shop was me buying back my freedom, one paycheck at a time, leaving guilt-laden messages about how family is forever and Ethan needs his big brother. She even had distant relatives I barely remember. Performance built on years of denial and manipulation. But I was done playing the role they cast me in. The more they pushed, the more I withdrew. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the explosive way I used to be. I was tired. Tired of being the responsible one. Tired of being guilt-tripped. Tired of pretending their version of family was something I should aspire to be part of. Instead, I poured my energy into my future. I used Megan's gift wisely. I hired a financial advisor, enrolled full-time in college, and started investing in things that mattered to me: security, self-growth, and peace. I took therapy seriously, finally facing the years of emotional abuse I'd buried just to get through the day. I started journaling, meditating, even traveling when time allowed. For the first time, I wasn't surviving, I was living. One day, almost a year later, I got a letter. Not from my mom, not from Steve, but from Ethan. It was handwritten on lined paper, with crooked edges and smudged ink. He must have been around 12 by then. It wasn't long, but it hit harder than any conversation I'd had in that house. Hey, Ethan, I miss you. I don't really get what happened. Mom and Steve say you're being selfish, but I remember you used to help me with homework and sneak me snacks when I couldn't sleep. I don't believe what they say. I just wanted to say I miss you, and I hope you're okay. That letter broke me in a way nothing else had, because Ethan was just a kid, another casualty of a toxic home. He didn't choose the manipulation or the lies, and for the first time in a long time, I felt conflicted. Not because I wanted to go back, but because I didn't want to leave him behind. I didn't write back right away. I needed time to figure out what I could offer without reopening wounds I had just begun to heal. Eventually, I sent him a letter. Honest, but gentle. I miss you too. I'm okay, and I hope you are too. Things are complicated, and I had to leave to take care of myself. But I'm still your brother, and I always will be. I got another letter back a month later. This time it was lighter, filled with sketches and stories about school. We kept it going. Letters, sometimes packages, never directly involving our parents. It was our quiet bond, unpolluted by everything that came before. Years passed. I graduated, got a decent job, started giving back. Not to those who tried to drain me dry, but to causes and communities that reflected the kind of person I wanted to be. I even turned Megan's house into something more. A safe space for youth aging out of foster care. A place where people who'd been overlooked like I had could find their footing. Looking back now, I don't feel bitterness. I feel pride. Not because of the money or the house, but because I finally reclaimed my story. I chose to break the cycle, to become someone I could respect when I looked in the mirror. And sometimes, when I get a new letter from Ethan with a drawing or a question about life, I smile. Because I know I made the right choice. I built something better. Would you like a summarized version or the full story formatted for print or online reading?